We're live.
Live. All right. Shalom. Shalom to the nation of Israel. All right. Blessed new moon, blessed Sabbath, uh, and also blessed seventh day of dedications. This new moon kind of fell on one of the holy days, which is even better, okay, because it gives us a chance to reflect as well as to start over. The title of tonight's lesson is going to be the new moon, a time to start over. Which means new blessings or new beginnings. So, and when we, pretty much go into the new moon, I had read an article which kind of gave me some, pretty good thoughts about how precious the new moon is. And the new moon is sort of like, it gives us, when you really look at it, the Most High has given us a chance to actually reflect as well as start over, each month. And as we, kind of recognize it and go through the 30-day cycle that the new moon actually, goes through, it gives us a chance also to take advantage of this time, with ourselves, with our families, definitely praying and meditating with the Most High. And we should really take advantage of it. I think just alone by the article I read, I am going to take advantage of it. I'm going to start, setting goals, certain goals that I can accomplish within a month's time. All of them are going to be based upon, rebuilding myself back and dedicating myself back to the Most High. But, mostly it's going to reflect on me accomplishing things as well. So I would suggest everyone should do it as well. One of my goals is to actually read like 2 chapters out of 2 books, and see, can I get through that throughout the month? Because I find that reading helps, expand the mind, expands the imagination, and it helps build on, on your spirit, especially when you're dealing with, the Bible. So it kind of stimulates I would say the thoughts, put it that way. Let's get that. Let's get Revelations 1 and verse 2 real quick. Because I find it quite comfortable when you start reading certain periods in history, start reading more about the disciples and, what they went through, Paul, Mark, Peter, the trials and tribulations that they actually went through, as well as the blessings of how the Most High, brought them out of certain situations because of the situations that we're going to be in. All of that, we're going to need those things to reflect back on to give us strength. All right. Revelations 1 and verse 3.
Revelation chapter 1 and verse 3. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy.
Right, because we know that the Bible is prophetic, put it that way. It's prophetic, as well as spiritual. So the prophecies that the Most High revealed unto us, we are supposed to take that and hold dear to that, okay? And as well as to reflect on certain situations we may find ourselves in. Go ahead.
And keep those things which are written therein.
See, it says, and keep those things that are written therein. Okay. And that's how I kind of feel when I say I just take, 2 chapters out of 2 books. One book that I have, it says Understanding the Bible. And it kind of goes into details on the historical events as well as it goes into how, let's say, David, came about to writing the Psalms, because that's what we actually going to go into to help build it up. So, just things like that. Read on.
For the time is at hand.
For the time is at hand. So we know how things is out there. We know that our time, is changing, by the minutes. So to reflect back on our forefathers, as well as to take time out just to read, stimulate your mind, would be a beautiful thing. Okay. So, like I said, just kind of reflect back. It gives us a chance to, renew and rededicate ourselves every month. So I'm gonna go into that real quick. Let's go to Psalms chapter 51. Psalms chapter 51, and we're gonna start at 1. And the Psalms, it kind of it gives us it gives us inspiration. You know, when Solomon and David was writing the Psalms, it kind of it inspires us to look forward to and to look forward to the Most High. You know, as they did. You know how they put their trust in the Most High. Okay, go ahead.
Psalm chapter 51 and verse 1. Have mercy upon me, O God,
Mhm.
according to thy loving kindness, according unto the multitude of thy tender mercies. Blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity,
Mhm.
and cleanse me from my sin.
And cleanse me from my sin. So, you know, he's going into it because that's when you know, starting over, you know, as a new month, new moon, as you starting over, you know, thoughts and what you plan on to accomplish within that month, you know, it gives us that inspiration to say, you know what, let me just bow down my head. Let me be humble enough and just ask, you know, the Most High for these prayers, you know, and to hear my prayers and to hear the goals that I want to actually accomplish as well, because it's all dependent on him. You know, he just said, ask and I will give. So it all depends on him. But if he see that you setting goals, you know, towards him and towards the renewing of yourself as well, you know, I mean, he's our father. You know, it's like if you have children, if you see your child, you know, putting forth their best effort, you know, and you can help them out, then you're gonna give them that helping hand. Okay. Verse 3.
Verse 3. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and
Mhm.
my sin is ever before me.
Now he said, but I acknowledge my transgressions. See, that's a part of coming back to the Most High, because it said, I acknowledge my transaction, my transgressions. I'm sorry. So it's us, you know, acknowledging. It says confessing our sins, you know, because why? Because we want that new beginnings. Okay, we want the Most High to recognize our new beginnings, our efforts of actually coming back to Him. It's our efforts of actually renewing our soul and our spirit and our minds. Okay, go ahead.
Against thee only have I sinned,
Mhm.
and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest.
Okay, keep going.
Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom.
To know wisdom, right? And to know wisdom is to know what? Is to know the commandments of the Most High and to know what He actually wants from us and what He actually requires from us. Okay, read on.
Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow.
Mm-hmm.
Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from my sins, and blot out all mine
And
iniquities.
blot out all my iniquities. So now we starting off with the new moon, just saying, you know what, Father, I know certain things happened last month, but this is a new month that you're giving us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recognize what transgression or what shortcomings I came, right, that last month, and I'm going to pick myself up, dust myself off, you know, and try again, you know. And that's one thing too. It's about failure. It's one thing they say when you fail at something or you think that you failed at something, you know, you always can be able to pick yourself back up and you learn from it and you're able to move forward again. And if you look at the new moon, that's what the new moon actually gives us. It gives us that opportunity and for us to actually to restart again. So if we don't accomplish within that month, that's okay. At least you start, you know. And it's one thing to do is like once you put that effort uh, forward, then it's just like an athlete. It's when he's practicing, right? So he's practicing to become better. So each month, you know, whether you accomplish it or not, then you just go ahead and start it again. You know, next month, Most High give you another new moon, start again. You know, and eventually, you know, within a few months or half of a year, you'll see the progress. You know, it's one thing too. Also, it's like if you write down your progress or your failures or your shortcomings, put it that way. You know, write them down and then just go back and reflect upon them. You know, but that's what the new moon does, though. You know, the new beginning. It's the refreshing. You start all over again, you know. And there's one thing too, it's like the Most High put the moon up there just to remind us as well, you know. So when we go out every day, we're trying to accomplish our goals, you know, we look up in the sky and see what day it is, you know. So that's a lot to think about. Continue.
Verse 10, create in me a clean heart, O God.
So it says, create in me a clean heart, a new beginnings. Go ahead.
And renew a right spirit within me.
Mm-hmm.
Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit.
With thy free spirit. Go ahead.
Then will I teach transgressors thy ways.
Right.
And sinners shall be converted unto thee.
Right. So that's the whole goal as well. Because as we become better, then we be able to teach, you know, our brothers and sisters the same way. Our experience, you know, our wisdom and our knowledge throughout the years, we be able to give understanding to our sisters and brothers that what they may be going through, you know, because just driving over here, I'm just looking around. I'm like, wow, it's so many people that don't know about the new moon. And it's a shame because, like I said, it's there for us to actually reflect upon the Most High, because he made heaven, earth, the sun, and the moon. I'm gonna get into that as well. But you know, when we see these things, we take all these things for granted. You know, the sun, the moon, you know, it comes out, it does what it's supposed to do, but it's just there. And people just go about their own business, but they never recognize and give reverence to the Most High, though. You know, go ahead.
Verse 14, deliver me from blood guiltiness, O God, thou God of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of thy righteousness. O Lord, open thou my lips, and my mouth shall show forth thy praise. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it.
Right.
Thou delightest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit.
All right, broken spirit. Go ahead.
A broken and a contrite heart. O God, thou wilt not despise.
That's right. A broken and a contrite heart. See, so now as we, like I said, as we setting those goals, as we setting things that help us to move forward towards him, right? Now that's what he likes, a broken and contrite heart. It means a lot. It means a whole lot. And I wanted to read that because that's just a prayer, you know, that and a meditation that I was in when I was actually kind of putting certain precepts together, because I'm praying to the Most High, asking him, hey, look, Father, look, you know, hear my prayers, you know, understand what I'm trying to do. There's a lot of shortcomings that I have, but I'm going to work on, you know, and thank all praise that you gave me the opportunity and the wisdom to understand that when that new moon comes, that new month starts, I get a chance to start it. I get a chance to go, you know, go through it, you know, no matter how long it's going to take me, but each month you give me a chance to restart. Okay. Stay in Psalms. Let's get 103. I had to stay in Psalms because it's one thing that I did about Psalms and Proverbs is I didn't know nothing about the Bible. Okay. But there's one thing I did when I started reading Psalms and Proverbs, the Bible made a lot of sense to me. Okay. 103 and 1.
Psalm chapter 103 and verse 1. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits.
All of his benefits. Okay. And that's his holy days is his benefits. You know, his Sabbath is his benefits. You know, all of those things he gives to us so that we can recognize and say, hey, this is our time to reflect upon him. This is our time to come back to him. You know, it's all about him. You know, that's what's happening today is people are actually being selfish and they actually thinking of themselves, but it's not about us. It's about the Heavenly Father, right? And then after we reflect upon him, then it's about how we transgress against him to put us in certain situations, whether it be good or bad, but, you know, for us to reflect upon that. And once we reflect upon that, then he gives us opportunities, you know, through his commandments, number one, through his feast days, number two, okay, and also the process of actually like cleaning ourselves up, you know, to be used by him to teach our people. because we have to cleanse ourselves before we even go for it, like you say, and give this gospel to our people. There have to be some type of righteousness within us that the Most High have seen, right, in order for us to go out and try to give this true gospel and bring back our people to Him. Because there's a lot of Israelites that's out there, but they don't know they Israel. So number one, knowing that you Israel, that's truly a blessing. Number two is able to, reflect and give His word back to His people. That's truly a blessing. Okay, keep reading. We're gonna read down to 7.
Verse 3. And who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases, who redeemeth thy life from destruction, who crowneth thee with loving kindness and tender mercies.
That's right.
Who satisfieth thy mouth with good things, so that thy youth is renewed like the eagles. The Lord executeth righteousness and judgment for all that are oppressed. He made known his ways unto Moses, his acts unto the children of Israel.
Unto the children of Israel. So he made known his acts unto the children of Israel. And they said the children of Israel is a lost people. They said it no longer exists. But here we are today, and here we are today giving praise to Him and giving glory, to his holy days, And it's funny because we're in the season of what they consider their holidays, right? But nobody reflects and pull up the Bible and bring up the true holy days during this season. Okay. Let's go over to Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12. So I started off in Psalms because it's just prayers. If I don't have anything to actually, I'm stuck trying to send up some prayers, and I run to the Psalms. I run to Proverbs, and they speak for me of what I'm trying to actually try to convey to the Most High, and that's a blessing. It's always a blessing. 12 and verse 1.
Romans chapter 12 and verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice,
right,
holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service.
Which is our reasonable service. So we give ourselves up. Once we understand who we are, then that's when we start sacrificing ourselves. Like I said, a lot of shortcomings we have, but we still push through. Read on.
And be not conformed to this world.
So it said, be not conformed to this world, meaning the trials and tribulation that we may go through. Okay, go ahead.
But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
And that's the key. That's one of the keys that we should also take into our new moon. Okay, we should take a renewing of our minds, because it's refreshing us as we go through the process of just, like I said before, cleaning ourselves up. We got a lot of cleaning up to do, because as much as we clean up inside of us, as much as they try to put more garbage in. They used to always say doing the computers, garbage in, garbage out, but we try to clean up ourselves on a daily basis, right, throughout the 30-day cycle. And we have to be careful, because they're trying to put it all back in through TV, advertisement, now it's social media. You figure within a month's time, if you look at your phone, because it keeps the data on there, how long that you actually spend time with social media, it got all your data there, and you sit back and just look at that like, wow, that's too much. That's too much. How much information or garbage I've actually taken in, that can actually help me and get me closer to the Most High. So that's why sometimes it's time to just cut that off and say, hey, now it's time for me to pay attention. Definitely time to pay attention, because a new cycle is coming. A new month is coming. Okay. Start that from the top again.
Verse 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
Right. So now it says that ye may prove what is good and acceptable. Okay. So now that's another thing. We're reflecting about, what we actually doing throughout that month's time. Okay. Then it says, and perfect will of the Most High. So now we're reflecting back to Him once again. That's why I go back to the Psalms and Proverbs. because like I said, it says what I really feel. I really feel how David and Solomon was actually, giving their all to the Most High and reflecting upon how much blessings they put upon them. So as we renew our mind, we understand that this cycle, this new moon cycle, it gives us an opportunity, to like refresh ourselves, refresh our souls, refresh our prayers, and we should take advantage of it. We really should. Verse 3.
Verse 3, for I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you.
Right. So now it says the grace, because that's what we're living under. We're living right now under grace. We do what we can, and we have to be, pretty much satisfied with that, because, the flesh can only do so much. But there's a greater day coming, though. The Most High is going to bless us with wonders, to try to get through what our oppressor is setting up for us. And believe me, our oppressor, he knows it too. He's waiting to see how the Most High is going to bless Israel, because the history is there. Like I think brothers went last week, went back from Genesis all the way back to Revelations. All that history is there. Okay, go ahead.
To every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think.
Right. So now we just humble ourselves. That's one of my goals as well, is to just humble myself each month. And it's something that is pretty hard to do, because you're trying to push for it, stumbling blocks in front of you, but you just got to take that time out and just watch and just sit back, and let it come to you with ease, not with force. Okay, go ahead.
But to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith.
The measure of faith, right? And that's one thing that we're going to continue to find out, just how much faith we have. Each individual have their own, measures of faith that the Most High given them. But to know what your level is, I mean, that's a daily grind, as far as trying to find that out, and because you have to be put in certain situations to find out how much faith you really have. So in these trying times, we're going to find out how much faith we really have, And real quick, before we go any further, I just want to bring out, I got some notes down here. Just want to bring out like how much faith and what we're going to be facing. Like right now, we're facing, in this world right now, we're facing financial disaster. Esau's financial, I would say, stock market, his transportation, all of that is being jeopardized right now. All of that has flaws in it, which is going to affect major people. It's going to affect us in such a way that the experts are saying that it's going to be a time like America never seen before. So that's something that we also got to prepare for, as well as, as our new months come in. Okay, so now we have the financials. Right now we're dealing with hyperinflation, right? Today, I actually bought my first $5.29 gallon of gas. $5.29, because number one, the gas station was close to me. That was the price. There was other gas stations, but I didn't want to go that far. But you figure from, I think it was a year ago, it was like $3, almost $4. Now it's up to $5. So hyperinflation is definitely here. And then once again, Esau experts saying that it's going to get even worse. So now we're dealing with financial disaster. Then we're dealing with hyperinflation, right? Another one we're dealing with is morality or morals. Just the morality and the morals of people today is sad. It really is. I mean, you have the alphabet that's coming out, the people who call themselves, they don't know their gender. So they use the alphabet to actually call their gender, the ABC and GQ and all of that. So you have that out there. So you have all of those things are crumbling. All of these things are that we're facing like right now. And it's something to reflect upon, because those are the things that we got to pray to the Most High to help us clean us up and keep those things away from us. That's why we pray for the hedge around us and for him to keep us. So then we have poverty. because with all of those things being affected, more poverty is going to come upon not only the U.S. but the whole world. So now you have more poverty that people is going it's going to be reflected upon people. And how my thing is how they're going to react to it, because once again you hear me always say we're spoiled, and we really are. We are spoiled. As sometimes I think about when I'm reading in Exodus, how we were in Egypt. And that's one of my goals as well, is I have a couple of books on Egypt just to see how the lifestyle was, you know. So I'm gonna grab that book, read me 2 chapters out of it, and hopefully I can get through the book within a month or two, right? But uh, with that knowledge of history, it kind of puts me into where we at now and what we actually face it. Because in Egypt, we built dynasties, and not only that, but after we came out of Egypt, and dealing in the wilderness with Moses, with dealing with the children of Israel, it was a lot of conflict. So I take that and I think about, well, what the poverty is going to be, once we here in America, once it hits America, and not only America, but the whole world, because that's how they setting things up to be. So it's just something to think about, something to reflect back on. Read Romans 12:3 again from the top.
Verse 3, for I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith.
The measure of faith. That's right. So, like he said, don't think highly of yourselves, because like I said, the time that we about to reflect into is something that we have not experienced, put it that way. I know I haven't experienced $5.23 a gallon of gas, as well as, the food prices and things like that. And I have not even seen Esau so worried about his economy, in my lifetime. I remember the 70s. I was young when they had the gas price. I think it was the oil crisis, but not like today, though. That was particular area that they was kind of looking at, but this time is different because you have fires in every, let's say, economic financial situation that's going to affect, and all of us coming down at one time, as well as pestilence. So you have all of these things coming. It's like the great storm. All of these things is like a perfect storm. And they're worried, and they're so worried that they, like you said, they're coming out of the cities. They leaving Israel in the cities, but they coming out of the city. They going into the wilderness. They find bunkers. They doing this. They doing that. But also by us having access to the technology, meaning the let's say YouTubes and the social media, a lot of Edomites, they just been putting a lot of information out. So it helps us to prepare ourselves as well. So we just, like I said, it's just that new beginnings for us to wake up and just understand what's around us and take advantage of it, and take advantage of it first by reflecting our prayers to the Most High. Okay, let's get 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians chapter 4. We'll read 16. Yeah, 4 and 16.
2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 16. For which cause we faint not, for thought our outward man perish.
Right. So now it said, which cause we faint not, because, like I said, we're building ourselves up so we won't faint. Okay, go ahead. But what? But thought. Started but thought.
Oh, 16.
Verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day.
Day by day. So that's another process. Let's come into this new moon. Day by day, we're just building ourselves. Because once we set that goal on that first day, which I already did, I've already put my books out. I got this book. I said I want 2 chapters out of this and 2 chapters out of that. So I'm already setting my goal. I'm ready to go, right? And hopefully, Most High see that effort is being put forth. It's funny because I also looked at it was some history on Rome and how Esau, became into power after the Greeks. And it's amazing how much war that this man has been in. It dates back from, AD, and it comes all the way up to, let's say 500 AD. I'm just throwing it out there, all the way up to 1950s when World War One took place. Maybe, I don't know if it happened in 50s, but World War One took place. I mean, this man has constantly been at war for thousands of years, and he's still looking to cause even more affliction and more war. I mean, it's amazing how much this man has no peace. But the Lord said that he should live by the sword. So, I kind of look at that a little bit. I'm gonna grab a couple of books and look into that as far as the chapters, just to see and reflect on, where we actually at right now. Was that all of that? That was it.
You want verse 17?
No, read that from the top again.
Verse 16.
Yeah.
For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day.
Day by day, exactly. So now I'm just going to go into like what the new moon actually represented, how the Most High actually had it there for us, so that, like you say, as our new beginnings, we start recognizing and even count the days, even go outside and start counting the days, and just all the way to that 30th day. Let's get Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1. Let's find out when the Most High did make it and what his purpose was for. Let's start at 14. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 14.
Genesis chapter 1 and verse 14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
So now here we are. The Most High put them in the firmament so that we can understand days, signs, signs, seasons, and years. And that's what it does. So when we start counting, like I said, the 30-day cycle, then this is what, the 9th moon, right? 10th, this 10th moon. Okay, this is the 10th moon. So now this is the 10th moon. So those who didn't know, we can start from today, right? And just go outside maybe tomorrow, because it should be a sliver, and just start counting that 30-day cycle up until we get to the 11th month, right? Because we got to count it anyway, because we know that certain feast days fall within certain months. Okay, so if we start with that, then we start recognizing how the Most High set the moon to set us up on days. We know what day it is. We know what kind of season we're in. And we also are counting our years to what? To our actually new year, okay, which is Passover. Read on 15.
Verse 15. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night.
So now we know what that's talking about, and they're up there, they're doing their job. It's just that, like I said, most people don't understand and not taking advantage and not, taking heed to this great power that the Most High has put there for us. Go ahead.
He made the stars also, and God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night.
Now, to rule over the day as well as the night. Go ahead.
And to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the 4th day.
Now, evening and morning was the 4th day. So now, let's go into Psalms. Let's go to Psalms 104. Just trying to pull it out. So Genesis kind of set the scene of what the purpose of the moon and the sun was there for, right? Psalms 104 and read 19.
Psalms chapter 104 and verse 19. He appointed the moon for seasons. The sun knoweth his going down.
So it's doing this. They're doing their job. Okay, the moon, right? Because how the cycle the moon goes in, we know that it brings about every month, because the sun, it comes out and it does its thing too. It just shines. So you really don't know what cycle the sun is in unless you the part of the day. Put it that way. They have a part of the day when they say high noon, low. I forgot what they call it, but anyway, they say high noon, so you know what position the sun is in the sky. But the moon, it actually is going to show you a sign on what day it is, right? And then the next day, it'll show you another sign of how it formulates itself, whether it's waxing or whether it's waning. Okay. Read that from the top again. 19.
Verse 19.
Mm-hmm.
Until the time that his
Yeah, 19. 104.
So like in Psalm chapter 104 and verse 19, he appointed the moon for seasons.
Right. So now when he says seasons as well, then you know that once we start counting the cycles of the moon and what month it falls in, then there's certain cycles that we know. We know we're in the winter season right now. Go ahead.
The sun knoweth his going down.
Okay. And the sun knows it's going down. So it does its thing. It does its thing. It's going to go from one form to the other form, the sun and the moon. Okay. Let's get Ecclesiasticus in your Apocryphals, chapter 43. Ecclesiastes chapter 43. We're going to start at 6.
Book of Sirach, chapter 43 and verse 6. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the worlds. From the moon is the sign of feasts.
Right. So it says now the moon is a sign of feast. Right. Go ahead.
A light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven.
Right. So the armies above is the stars. Go ahead.
The beauty of heaven, and so like the beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, and ornaments giving light in the highest places of the Lord. At the commandment of the Holy One, they will stand in their order.
They will stand in their order. Go ahead.
And never faint in their watches.
Right. So now Esau can't do anything about that. He say he's been on the moon. I don't know. I don't even go into that. But regardless if he did or not, he still can have no effect on the sun as well as the moon. So they're going to continue in their cycle, and they're going to continue to wax wonderfully in what they do, as well as give us understanding, of the year and the signs of our feast days. Okay. Was it all of that?
Sure.
Yeah. Let's go to Baruch real quick. Stay in your Apocryphals. Let's get Baruch chapter 6. We're going to read 66 and verse 60.
Which one was first, 60 or 66?
No, 60.
Okay.
Yeah.
Baruch chapter 6 and verse 60. For sun, moon, and stars, being bright and sent to do their offices, are obedient.
So it says, sent to do his offices, they are obedient, right? So, like I said, there's no effect that no one can have on that, because once the Most High said it, how he said it in Genesis, then it's going to run its course. Okay. And there's one thing that it was a phrase that I think one of the Jakes said. He said, boy, the moon have seen many wars. The moon has seen many kingdoms rise and many kingdoms fall. The moon and the sun. And I said, that's pretty profound. I never thought about it that way, but it truly has. It has seen the rise. It even seen Christ walk this earth. Okay. Let's take a thought about that. But it's still running this course. Christ came and he died for the children of Israel. And then he rose again. Right? The moon and the sun was still in order, doing their thing as well. And here we are today, in our generation, in our lifetime. And the sun and the moon is still doing its thing. Read that from the top again.
Verse 60. For sun, moon, and stars, being bright and sent to do their offices, are obedient. In like manner, the lightning, when it breaketh forth, is easy to be seen.
Right. So that's when you actually, I say, when you go outside and you start counting the days, then you'll start seeing the sliver, how it's coming out of this winging. Is it wing or waxing when it comes out the new moon?
It's waxing.
It's waxing. Okay. When it's waxing coming out of the new moon. Okay. Read on.
And after the same manner, the wind bloweth in every country.
Mhm.
And when God commanded the clouds to go over the whole world, they do as they are bidden.
See, even the wind, everything is done their own bidding. The Most High made these elements, and nobody deters from them. They can't manipulate them. They can limit to a certain point, but it's still gonna do what it's gonna do. If the wind Most High wants the wind to blow this way, he'll have it to blow that way. Based upon the cycles of the earth. Okay, and in their seasons. Okay, we got to remember that, and in their seasons, because it's always saying that the moon is a sign for seasons and feast days. All right, so let's go back to Psalms. Back to Psalms chapter 81. Psalms 81, and we're going to read verse 3. Go ahead.
Psalm chapter 81 and verse 3. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon.
Right. So now it's giving us a certain order that what we're supposed to do. And that's what we do. We have our trumpet and we blow it with a new moon. Go ahead.
In the time appointed on our solemn feast days.
So there's a certain point and a certain time that we actually blow. Okay. And that's when the moon can't be seen by the naked eye. Okay. So read on.
For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob.
That's right. So now it's also a law. So it's a law that we are to recognize, our new moons as they come about every month. All right. So, and that's one thing that, like I said, for us to understand that is truly a blessing. And once again, we should take advantage of that blessing, and start setting new beginnings. Let's go into Isaiah 66. And I'm kind of like bringing these scriptures out just so, you can reflect back when you go back into your reading and just give us certain precepts about how the new moon, how it affects us, how the Most High put the new moon out as a blessing, as well as a law. Isaiah 66. And we're going to read verse 23. And 23.
Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord.
Saith the Lord. And that's what we do. We come together. All of us Israelites who know now, because at one time I didn't know anything. I didn't know nothing about no new moon. I didn't know nothing about no Sabbath. But like once again, once we've been blessed with this understanding, now we'll come to do what the Most High requires us to do. And when we come to that, we come with happiness. We come with joy. We come with like you said, the renewing of our minds. We come with plans and goals, that we're going to try to accomplish, throughout the month. I mean, it just brings an overall joy, put it that way. Overall joy for us to recognize that the Heavenly Father has done this for the children of Israel. But the other nations, they're going to do it as well. Once we're back in power, we're going to have them servitude. Everything that they known or didn't know, we're going to put all that aside and we're going to do what thus said the Lord. Okay. Was that all that? Let's go to Psalms. Let's go back to Psalms, chapter 89. Psalms chapter 89, we're going to read 37.
Psalm chapter 89 and verse 37. It shall be established forever as the moon, and as a faithful witness in heaven, Selah.
So as it's going to be established as what?
It shall be established forever as the moon.
So now the moon is established and the sun is established forever. Go ahead.
And as a faithful witness in heaven, Selah.
As a faithful witness. So let's get, I think it's Jeremiah chapter 23. Because the Lord said, if these ordinances should leave, then the children of Israel will cease to be a nation. And these ordinances are still there. What's that, Jeremiah 23?
31.
31? Okay.
35.
All right. Let's get that out. 31 and 35.
Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 35. Thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night.
Now, this is a covenant that he made, okay, with the children of Israel. And that covenant still stands today because these ordinances are still there, right? So that means that the children of Israel has not, as an instinct, people that's been gone away. Okay, so we're still here. The sun, the moon, still here. The stars are still here. Go ahead.
Which divideth the sea for when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
That's right. And we're still here. See, and we're still here as a people. And we're still here and we're still recognizing the Most High and his feast days, as well as his new moons. So I just want to keep it short and sweet. I just want everybody to keep in mind that, the new beginnings and certain goals that they should set, not only just this, but every new moon that comes about, and write down your progress, write down your failures, just keep writing them down, keep pushing towards it, because every day that we push towards the Most High and every day that we send up our prayers, he recognized that, he recognized it, and he gives us a special time of the month where we can reflect upon ourselves as well as him, and we can renew ourselves. Okay. And with that, I say shalom.